pag-uusapan natin ang Book of Proverbs. Pinamagatan po natin ito, Leading with Wisdom. Now, as an introduction, the Book of Proverbs actually is one of the wisdom books in the Old Testament, along with Job and Ecclesiastes. Well, if you're going to read the whole book, ang payo ko, pwede nyong basahin ito o pakinggan sa audio Bible ng tuloy-tuloy. Pero alam nyo, ang payo ko sa inyo, one chapter a day of the book of Proverbs, and you are going to read in 1 month, mababasa mo yung buong Proverbs. Alam nyo kung bakit? Kasi ang Proverbs ay 31 verses. So, kung 1 chapter a day, you are going to gain wisdom every day. Every day. So, ang Book of Proverbs is mainly written by Solomon, and basically, the whole Proverbs provides a practical insight so that we will be able to live a godly living. Now, ang librong ito, hindi lang ito mga kasabihan na kung saan ay very clever, no? Pero hindi ganoon. Actually, the Book of Proverbs serves as a manual so that we will be able to live a wise kind of life. Meaning to say, ang wise kind of life actually is a life that lives in righteousness, justice, and integrity in every area of our lives. There is actually a blessing if a person lives a righteous life with justice and integrity in his daily life. Now, ang authorship at background nito, meaning to say, ang sumulat nito at saka yung background, mainly makikita nyo actually sa Book of Proverbs mismo, sa Proverbs chapter 1 verse 1, that King Solomon is mentioned as the son of David who actually came up with most of the Proverbs. Nakuha nyo? Nakatalayan actually sa Book of Kings na si Solomon meron siyang thousands of Proverbs, and that serves actually as guidance in life. Now, there is actually another author that you will read in Proverbs 25 verse 1 by the name of the men of King Hezekiah. Well, itong men of King Hezekiah, sila yung nag-compile. Pero basically, yung Proverbs galing pa rin kay Solomon. At the last chapter, yung Proverbs 30 tsaka yung Proverbs 31, yung virtuous woman, na nakasulat doon, yun ay Proverbs that came from Agur and King Lemuel. So basically, ang Book of Proverbs is a compilation, of insights coming from people who have nag-isip, nagnilay-nilay, pinag-isipan nila ang tungkol sa buhay, and so therefore they came up with these sayings. And these sayings actually will be able to help us be guided as we are living here on earth. So ito yung mga talata na yun. Proverbs 1 verse 1, sabi rito, the Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel. So directly binanggit kung kanino galing yung Proverbs na kanya kay Solomon. Proverbs 25 verse 1, these are more Proverbs of Solomon. So this is still coming from Solomon, pero sabi dito, kinumpile ito, compilation ito ng mga, sabi rito, men of Hezekiah, king of Judah. So basically, during the time of Hezekiah, they have scholars. And these scholars are the one who compiled. They gathered all the sayings or Proverbs of Solomon, then they compiled it into this book. Sa Proverbs 30 verse 1, sabi rito, the sayings of Agur, son of Jakeh, an inspired utterance. At sa Proverbs 31 verse 1, the saying of King Lemuel. Again, sinabi rito, an inspired utterance his mother taught him. No, diyan sa chapter 31, diyan yung picture ng ng isang virtuous woman. Nakuha nyo, isang babae na kaaya-aya. Nakuha nyo. Most of the time, pag Mother's Day, mga pastors dyan pupunta kumukuha ng sermon. That's actually one of what text that I use during Mother's Day pag nagsisermon. Ang scripture focus natin is in Proverbs chapter 1 verse 7. Parang ito yung pinaka-heart, pinaka-puso ng buong libro. Kung isa-summarize natin yung buong libro, ito yun. Parang ganun. Proverbs chapter 1 verse 7 says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. Nakuha nyo, ang wisdom daw or knowledge is actually coming from, not only from the logic that comes from man, but actually from fear of the Lord. Nakuha nyo? Doon daw nagsisimula yung pagkatakot sa Diyos. Itong pagkatakot na ito, hindi ito pagkatakot na yung parang natakot ka kasi may multo, kinilabutan ka. Hindi ganoon. Kundi ang pagkatakot na ito ay pagkatakot na holy fear, banal na pagkatakot, dakilang paggalang sa Diyos. Nakuha nyo? As we acknowledge God, we stand in awe of God, and so therefore, as we think of Him, we are actually gaining knowledge. Pero yung mga yung mga fools, wala silang ganun. They despise wisdom and instruction. Now, here is the overview. This is what I get, actually, the overview of the book of Proverbs. Pero there are some scholars actually, medyo may konti lang pagkakaiba how they presented the book of Proverbs. Pero basically, almost the same. So kung babasahin mo rin yung buong Proverbs, yung first 9 chapter is actually the introduction for wisdom. And basically, parang ini-introduce dito kung paano tayo magkakaroon ng wisdom. It starts actually with the fear of God, fear of the Lord. And as we fear of the Lord, sabi doon, ina-advise tayo actually na hanapin natin. Magpagal tayo, hanapin natin na magkaroon talaga tayo ng wisdom. And wisdom actually, kumakaway daw siya. At nandyan lang siya sa paligid natin. Anyone who wants to learn can learn. Wisdom is making himself available to everyone. Nakuha nyo? Now, in chapter 10 to 24, eto na, nagsimula yung Proverbs ni Solomon. Actually, this contains Proverbs about life. Ngayon dito, basically, kino-contrast yung ano yung wise na tao, ano yung kalagayan niya, ano yung mga ugali niya, ginagawa niya. Tapos kino-contrast siya sa buhay ng isang foolish person. Nakuha niyo? So makikita niyo yan dyan. This is the wise person, tapos kino-contrast nung ano. Yung contrast niya actually highlights the main points of a wise person who lives righteously with integrity and so on and so forth. Now, sa verse 25 to 29, it serves as practical wisdom. Dito na pinag-uusapan yung right relationship, friendship with other people, tapos yung ugali natin, right conduct, and how do we use our speech. Nakuha nyo? Diyan makikita nyo yan. Tapos, yung last 2 chapters were actually the words of Agur and Lemuel. Ito naman, it speaks about how we should be living a humble life with contentment. And eventually, at the last chapter, it speaks about a virtuous woman. Yung babae na makadiyos, banal, at kaaya-aya. So, yan ang ano niya. Okay? Now, well, basically, the book of Proverbs is for gaining wisdom. Now, yung salitang wisdom actually came from a Hebrew word, chokmah. Ang ibig sabihin dyan ng wisdom, hindi lang talaga talino, kundi papaano mo ina-apply yung kaalaman mo. Meaning to say, ang isang taong wise o matalino, may alam siya, pero hindi lang head knowledge, kundi kaya niya na i-apply sa buhay niya yung kanyang natutunan. Hindi ito intellectual assent lang. Kasi maraming ganun maraming tao na maraming alam, pero hindi nila kayang i-apply sa buhay nila. Halimbawa, alam nila na ang pagiging matuwid, tama at banal ay mabuti, pero hindi nila ginagawa sa buhay nila. Halimbawa, yung pagiging tapat ay mabuti sa ating buhay, pero hindi sila tapat. So, ibig sabihin, hindi talaga wisdom yung nasa kanila. Knowledge lang. Nakuha niyo? Wisdom is a skill or applied knowledge. Meaning to say, you know how to apply what you have learned. Nakuha niyo? Now, gusto kong panoorin natin at this point yung video.
The Book of Proverbs. The word proverb typically refers to a short, clever saying that offers some kind of wisdom, and this book has a lot of those. But they're almost all in the center section of the book, chapters 10 to 29. But there is way more going on in the book of Proverbs, especially at the beginning, chapters 1 through 9, and the conclusion, chapters 30 and 31. The book's been designed with an introduction, chapter 1, verses 1 through 9, and it first of all links this book to King Solomon. Now remember the story in 1 Kings chapter 3. Solomon had asked God for wisdom to lead Israel well. And so Solomon became known as the wisest man in the ancient world, and we're told in 1 Kings chapter 4 that he wrote thousands of proverbs and poems and collected knowledge about plants and animals. So Solomon was like the fountainhead of Israel's wisdom literature. So while not all the material in this book is written by him personally, he is where Israel's wisdom tradition began. The introduction says that by reading this book, you too can gain wisdom. Now, wisdom for most of us means knowledge, but the Hebrew word chokhmah means much more than just mental activity. It refers to action also. So think skill or applied knowledge. This is why back in the book of Exodus, chapter 31, it was artists and craftsmen in Israel who were said to have chokhmah. So the purpose of this book is to help you develop a set of practical skills for living well in God's world. And this gets linked with another key idea in the introduction, the fear of the Lord. Now, fear here is not about terror. It's about a healthy sense of reverence and awe for God and about my place in the universe. It's a moral mindset that recognizes I am not God and that I don't get to make up my own definitions of good and evil and right and wrong. Rather, I need to humble myself before God and embrace God's definition of right and wrong, even when that's inconvenient for me. Now, this introduction leads us into the first main section of the book, chapters 1 through 9, which also doesn't contain short one-liner proverbs. Rather, what we find here are 10 speeches from a father to a son about how the son should listen to wisdom and cultivate the fear of the Lord and live accordingly, which means a life of virtue and integrity and generosity, all of which lead to success and peace. The father warns his son also about folly and evil and stupid decisions that will breed selfishness and pride, all leading to ruin and shame. And so the son should make the pursuit of wisdom and the fear of the Lord his highest goal in life. And this way of thinking, it forms the moral logic of this entire book. Now, these speeches from the father also clue us into what biblical wisdom literature is and how it's different from other parts of the Bible. These books explore how to live well in God's world, but wisdom is not the same as law, like what Moses gave Israel at Mount Sinai. And it's not the same as prophecy, divine speech to God's people. Rather, wisdom literature has the accumulated insight of God's people through the generations about how to live in a way that honors God and others. And so, through the book of Proverbs now, these human words about wisdom have been put together as God's word and wisdom to his people, which connects to the other thing you find in chapters 1 through 9. There are 4 poems from Lady Wisdom. Here, wisdom has been poetically personified as a woman who calls out to humanity to pay attention and to seek her. Wisdom says that she is woven into the fabric of the universe, and so wherever you see people making wise decisions, they are relying on her. So you see someone being generous or having sexual integrity or upholding justice. They are drawing on wisdom. These Lady Wisdom poems, they're a creative, poetic way of exploring this idea that we live in God's moral universe, and that goodness and justice are objective realities that we ignore to our own peril. And so fearing the Lord, living wisely, it's living along the grain of the universe. Now together, these 2 sets of speeches from the Father and Lady Wisdom, they make a powerful claim about this book, that you're not simply reading good advice, you're reading God's own invitation to learn wisdom from previous generations. And so in the next section of the book, chapters 10 through 29, we find hundreds of ancient proverbs, and they apply wisdom and the fear of the Lord to every life topic you could imagine: family, work, neighborhood, friendship, sex, marriage, money, anger, forgiveness, alcohol, debt, everything. And these are all filtered through the value system of Proverbs 1 through 9. Now, these Proverbs, they're all pretty short, they're easy to memorize, and actually this section of the book is meant to become a reference work that you return to time and time again throughout the years, which raises some important issues in learning how to read these Proverbs. First of all, Proverbs are by nature about probabilities. So you fear the Lord and you make wise, good choices, things will likely go well for you. And if you don't fear the Lord, you're foolish, your life will likely not go so well. Now, that is all often true, but not always. Which leads to the next point, that Proverbs are not promises. They're not formulas for success. So, some Proverbs, for example. The fear of the Lord prolongs your life, but the years of the wicked are cut short. Or, train up a child in the way they should go, and when they're old, they won't turn from it. So yes, fearing God, being a moral person, will most likely lead to a better, longer life, and raising your kids in a stable, loving home does set them up well, but there are no guarantees. Lots of things can and often do go wrong in our world. And so lastly, Proverbs by nature focus on the general rule, but not the exceptions, which are many. And the wisdom books actually aren't ignorant of that. The exceptions are what the other wisdom books, Job and Ecclesiastes, are all about. And together, these acknowledge that life is too complex for simple formulas, which is why we need all of the wisdom books together to get the bigger picture. This all leads to the final section of the book, 2 large collections of poems. First, poems from a man named Agur, who begins by acknowledging his own ignorance and folly and his great need for God's wisdom. And then Agur discovers that divine wisdom has been given to him in the scriptures, which teach him how to live well. And so Agur is put before us as like a model reader of the book of Proverbs, somebody who's always open to hearing God's wisdom through the scriptures. The final poems are connected to a man named Lemuel. He's a non-Israelite king, and he passes on the wisdom that was given to him by his mom. It's guidance for being a wise and just leader. And then the final poem is an acrostic or an alphabet poem where each line begins with a new letter of the Hebrew alphabet. And the entire poem's about the woman of noble character. It depicts a woman who lives according to the wisdom of Proverbs and stands like a model of someone who takes God's wisdom and then translates it into practical decisions in everyday life, at work or at home, in her family and in her community. So the book opened with words from a father to a son about listening to Lady Wisdom, and so now the book closes by offering the words of a mother to her son about a woman who lives wisely. The book of Proverbs is for every person in every season of life. It's a guide for living wisely and well in God's good world. And that's what the book of Proverbs is all about.
Okay, so yeah, that is the book of Proverbs is all about. It's actually about wise living in this life. So gusto ko lang bigyan ng point, no? The biblical wisdom literature actually was written so that we will be able to know how to live well in this world. And the book of wisdom actually is a wisdom that is taken from generations, meaning to say na-accumulate ito ng mga tao by observing their lives, and so therefore they were able to see what are the wise things to do in life. Hindi ito law na nagsasabi na thou shall not or thou shall. Hindi rin ito prophecy na directly sinasabi na thou saith the Lord. But this is actually an accumulated insight of God's people. Meaning to say, inobserbahan nila yung buhay, and so therefore by observing their lives, they were able to see what is the best way to living this life. Now, I would like to share to you main themes. No, marami ito actually, but as lay leaders, you and I, as we are leaders, I would like to mention 5 lang. 5 very, very important principles that we can get from the book of Proverbs. Tapos lalagyan natin ng practical applications ito. Okay? Unahin natin. Number 1, if you're going to read the book of Proverbs, you will read about wisdom that comes from God. Proverbs chapter 2 verse 6, sabi dyan, for the Lord gives wisdom. From His mouth comes knowledge and understanding. Si God daw palang nagbibigay ng wisdom. Sa Kanya nagmumula yung totoong pagkaunawa. And so therefore, if we lack wisdom, what should we do? Can ask God. Ask God for wisdom. Nakanyo, true wisdom is not just an intelligence. Kasi maraming nagkakamali dito. Yung, wise siya, matalino kasi yan. Kasi ang tawag nito, na-memorize na yung ganito. No, wisdom is not about memorization. Nakuha nyo? It is not even intelligence that comes from the book or from man. But rather, wisdom is a spiritual discernment that begins with honoring God. Ako ang simple explanation or definition ko ng wisdom. Wisdom is actually doing the right thing, not just knowing. Because maybe you know many things that are right, but if you're not actually doing it, you're not practicing it, you're not applying it into your life, you are not wise. You may be a person that knows a lot of things, but if you're not doing what is right, you are not a wise person. So how do we apply this? As leaders, number one, we should depend on God's wisdom. Meaning to say, if we lack wisdom, we can ask God's wisdom. But when we get it, we have to start applying it. We have to do what is right. We have to do what God wants us to do. Especially, listen to this, especially in making decision. We have to choose the right decision that is actually godly. Nakuha nyo? Yun ang una. Okay, number 2. You will be able to read also from the book of Proverbs the power of words. There is power in our words. Proverbs 18 verse 21, sabi diyan, death and life are in the power of tongue. Ano ibig sabihin nito? Ang ibig sabihin nito, we have to be very, very careful of what we are going to say. Because our words can build up or even destroy people. It can build up ideas. It can also destroy ideas. It can build up a person. It can also destroy a person. Now, as godly leaders, we have to use our speech to encourage others, to correct, and even bless. Nakuha nyo? So, paano natin ito i-apply sa buhay natin? Dapat, araw-araw, pipiliin natin yung mga sasabihin natin sa ating kapwa, ay yung mga words na nakaka-heal, nakaka-guide, nakaka-inspire, nakakapagpasaya, nakakapagpalakas ng pananampalataya ng ibang tao, lalo na yung mga pinaglilingkuran natin. Alam niyo, lalo na yung mga taong nakatingin sa atin. Tinitingnan nila tayo, and sometimes what we say actually they take it to their hearts, and so therefore let's be very, very careful on what we say. Nabanggit ko na yata sa inyo to yung story to actually. Ni-research ko ulit. May isang Japanese scientist. Ang ginawa niya, kumuha siya ng tubig tapos sinilip niya sa super microscope yung composition ng tubig. Now, yung tubig kapag kapag nakaka-receive ito ng mga positive words like halimbawa, mga praises, yan, positive and encouraging word. Even praise and worship or prayer, yung tubig daw mismo, gumaganda yung yung composition niya. And so therefore, pag ininom siya ng tao, nakakatulong actually sa healing. Pero yung tubig na na-expose sa mga negative words, bad words, so on and so forth, na hindi nakaka-encourage sa tao. Pumapangit din pala yung composition niya, and so therefore hindi nakakatulong sa health. It rather becomes harmful. You remember also yung kinuwento ko sa inyong naging parang project sa isang eskwelahan. Yung isang halaman, araw-araw pinipraise ng mga estudyante, sinasabihan ng magagandang bagay. Lumago na maganda. Yung isang mga halaman, pareho namang dinidiligan araw-araw, pero araw-araw ang natatanggap niya puro negative words. Minumura, sinasabihan ng mga negative things. Eventually, yung halaman na yun, naluoy, namatay, natuyo at namatay. There is power in our words. Kaya alam nyo, ingatan natin kung ano mga sasabihin natin. Let's make our words that can build up other people. Words that can heal. Oo, yung mga salita natin can heal other people. Kasi ang sakit naman, hindi lang naman physically, emotional din. At ang nakakagamot doon actually yung mga words of encouragement. No? So let's heal, let's guide, let's inspire, and let's help other also grow in their faith. And let's use our words. Nakuha nyo. Kumusta ang words nyo ngayong maghapon? Naka-bless ba kayo ng tao? Ang words nyo ba ngayon ay naka-heal o naka-hurt? Naka-encourage ba o naka-discourage? As leaders, let's get reminded that there is power actually in our words. And God actually wants us to use our tongue, our words, so we can minister, we can disciple others, we can help them grow in their spiritual life. So yun yung pangalawa. Pangatlo, that we can learn from the book of Proverbs is the importance of discipline and correction. Napakahalaga ng disiplina at correction, no? Pag sinabi sa Bible na disiplina, hindi ito yung palo o ano lang. Kundi ang discipline actually, ang ibig sabihin niyan, practice. When you practice, you are actually disciplining yourself. Now, it's very important for us to be disciplined and for us also to help others get disciplined. For us to be corrected and for us also to help others to correct them. Proverbs 12 verse 1. Sabi diyan, whoever loves discipline loves knowledge. But whoever hates correction is stupid. Grabe yung salita ginamit, stupid. Yung mga tao daw na hindi tumatanggap ng pagtatama, ang tawag daw sa kanila stupid. Pero yung tao na marunong tumanggap, nakikinig siya, marunong magpatama, nakikinig siya at willing siya na itama ang kanyang mga pagkakamali. Yung tao daw na yun yung taong merong totoong wisdom. Nakuha niyo. So, wisdom grows actually when we are ready to accept correction with humility. Nakuha niyo. Itong napansin ko sa pagmi-ministry ko I've been ministering for 31 years already or more than 31, mga 32 years. Napansin ko ang pinakamahirap tumanggap ng correction or even ng discipline, yung mga tao na mas mahalaga sa kanila yung label nila o yung position. Nakuha niyo. Kaya nga tayo sa atin dito sa WOTG, we call our leaders as servant leaders. May salitang servant. Kasi kung leader lang, minsan umaakyat sa ulo natin yung salita. Oy, leader ako. Isipin niyo, 'di ba? Kapag tinawag kang leader, normally ang magiging reaction natin, ay leader ako. Oy, leader ako, dapat akong sundin niyo. Pero pag nilagay mo na ng servant leader, oy, servant leader ako, I'm going to serve you. Naiiba eh. Nakuha niyo. So, ang pagiging leader natin ay pagiging servant leader. So, ang application ito. Let's be open to learn from others also. Especially, by the way, especially kung halimbawa, nakatanggap tayo ng rebuke or paalala, huwag nating personalin yun. Alam niyo kung bakit? Kasi ang hirap kaya mang rebuke. Ang hirap lumapit sa isang tao tapos sasabihan mo siya ng mali niya. Para matulungan siya. Ang hirap nun. Kasi magdadalawang isip ako na sabihan yung isang tao kung siya ay itatama ko ba o hindi. Kasi baka mamaya iniisip ko, tatanggapin niya kaya? So yung step pa lang actually to correct us by somebody who sees our wrongdoings takes a lot of courage already. So we have to appreciate them. Let's be open to learn from others, especially from the Word of God. Tayo din naman, ito mga kapatid, as leaders, you are a leader and God has put people under you. Tayo, we have to be very, very courageous also to correct with gentleness and love the people that God gave us. Nakuha nyo? Kailangan gentle din naman tayo. Kasi sa totoo lang, yung marinig nga lang na nagkamali tayo, parang na sa atin yun, di ba? Yung nakaka-discourage na. Ano pa kaya yung sinabi na yung mali sa atin pero galit pa yung tao? Lalong nakaka-discourage yun. So ang pinakamaganda, when we correct somebody, let's see to it na meron tayong relationship. Nakuha niyo? Kailangan may relationship ka sa kanya muna. Kasi ang hirap kaya, actually, ang advice ko ganito, huwag mong i-correct yung isang tao kapag wala kang real relationship sa kanya. Pero kung may relationship ka sa kanya, kilala ka niya as a loving person, kilala ka niya as a person who wants the best for him or her, you must be the right person to correct that person. So, correct other people gently and lovingly. Bakit ko sinasabi yan? Kasi kailangan niya. Kailangan din natin. Ako kailangan ko from time to time ng mga taong nagko-correct din sa akin. Kasi meron din ako mga blind spot eh. Meron akong mga ginagawa na akala ko tama. Pero yun pala, ang dating sa iba, nakakasakit na pala. Diba? Mukha na pala akong mayabang. O kaya, yun nga, may mga nagagawa na ako na nakaka-offend na pala doon sa ibang tao. And so therefore, I need also friends who will tell me of the things that I need to improve as a person. Tama niyo? And you know what? Proverbs 12 tells about a wise person is somebody who listens and receives discipline. Tama niyo? Ang discipline, di naman yan masama. It's actually a training. Okay? So that's number 3. Number 4, the book of Proverbs also speaks about the value of integrity. At alam niyo, sa book na ito, mataas talaga ang pagtingin sa mga taong may integridad. Nakanyo, Proverbs 11 verse 3 sabi rito, the integrity of the upright guides them, but the unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity. Ano ibig sabihin yan? Yung mga taong doble cara, yung mga taong nagmamaskara, hindi totoo sa kanilang buhay, nagpapanggap lang, sabi, they are going to be destroyed. But the people who are integrity, pag sinabing integrity, kung ano ka sa public, ganun din sa private. Nakuha nyo? Ipinapakita mo yun yung tulong ikaw, wala kang tinatago. That's integrity. Napakahalaga ng integrity kasi yun yung pinaka-foundation actually ng pagkatao mo. Na totoo ka kahit walang nakatingin, you are real. So, how do we apply this principle in life? So, we have to lead with honesty. Even when no one is watching, do what pleases God, even though nobody is watching. Sometimes ang tendency natin is to perform or to do things when our bosses is looking at us. Kapag yung mga boss natin nakatingin sa atin, yung leader natin, yung pastor natin, o yung gusto nating i-impress, ang tendency natin, gawin ng mahusay yung trabaho. Pero pag wala na, shabby na o kaya hindi na natin pagbubutihin. Palitan natin yun. Kahit anong ginagawa natin, may nakatingin man o hindi, dapat ang audience natin kasi hindi tao. Kasi pag ang audience natin tao, mag-show up lang tayo kapag nandyan sila. O kaya magpapakitang gilas lang tayo pag nandyan sila. Pero kapag naintindihan natin na sa lahat ng ginagawa natin, we have an audience of one, and that is Jesus, our God. Nakuha nyo? Pag ganon, and so therefore, kahit may taong nakakakita dyan o hindi, the same performance I will do. I am still going to give my best because I know that I'm doing this for God. And God is the one who sees me. Saka nyo? So let's value integrity. Alam nyo, isa yan, yung moral integrity ngayon sa ating bayan, ang isa sa pinakakailangan ng ating bayan. Bakit? Marami mga tao, legal yung kanilang ginagawa, pero ang totoo behind that, yung kanilang mga intention ay hindi maganda. Halimbawa, gumawa ng batas, pero sa mga batas na ginawa nila, pinalakihan nila yung budget halimbawa, kasi may intention pala sila na kutungin lang, nakawin. Alam niyo mga kapatid, yan ang problema ng ating mga mambabatas ngayon. Naglilingkod daw kunwari sa bayan pero ang totoo, nandun sila para magpayaman. Let's raise up our children. Yung mga anak natin, palakihin natin ng may integridad. Yung binavalue nila yung katotohanan at hindi sila magnanakaw para sa pera kahit gaano pa kalaki yan. Kasi mas matimbang sa atin yung kalooban, yung loob natin. Nakuha nyo? Mag-raise up tayo ng mga anak na ganun para yung mga susunod nating mga leader sa bayan, hindi nasusundan yung mga leader natin na wala nang ginawa kundi pang sarili lang. Hindi sana tayo naghihirap eh. Mayaman talaga tayo mga Pilipino. Ang Pilipinas ay mayaman kaya lang ninakaw ng mga taong walang integrity. Tayo ngayon bilang mga magulang at mga leader, ituro natin yan sa mga nasasakupan natin, sa mga anak natin. They should value integrity. Nakuha nyo? Integrity is the foundation of a trustworthy leader. Okay. Number 5. The fear of the Lord. Proverbs 1 verse 7, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. The fear of the Lord here speaks about the reverence that we can give to God. We address God in reverence and it is the key, listen to this is the key of true understanding and moral living. Kapag isang tao may takot sa Diyos, alam niya na kanyang lahat ng gagawin ay ipagsusulit niya sa Panginoon, gagawa ba siya ng kalokohan? Nakuha nyo? We should have that conscious understanding that eventually we are going to face God at mag-a-account tayo sa Kanya. So, how do we apply this? Let's honor God in every decision making. Sa paggawa natin ng mga decision, tanungin natin, ito ba makaka-please kay God? Mapapasaya ko ba ang Panginoong Diyos kapag ginawa ko ang desisyon na ito? So, lagi nating isaalang-alang ang Panginoon. Nakikita ko ng Panginoon, magiging masaya kaya siya? Is God going to be proud for what I'm going to make, decide, or choose? So, the fear of the Lord. The fear of the Lord. So, those are basically 5 major themes of the book of Proverbs. In summary, the fear of God, speak with care, live a life of integrity, let's accept correction, and let's practice humility and diligence. Marami pang mga bagay actually na tinuturo ang Book of Proverbs, and most of them practical living talaga. Kanina binanggit doon paano mabuhay, may asawa, even sex life, maging sa paglalasing, may mga payo actually ang Book of Proverbs, and we can learn a lot from it. Ang suggestion ko nga sa inyo, 1 chapter a day of the book of Proverbs, so that every day you will gain wisdom and you will be able to apply practical daily living, no? So we can live a life of righteousness. Now, dun tayo natatapos. Ayan yung summary natin. By the way, this is my family, Collis family. Kilala niyo ng mga pamilya ko. Aking asawa si Joanne, si Rowie at si Lexine.